Hey gang, welcome back to the 78 RPM channel. There are a lot of different kinds of records that people collect, but one type that they often overlook, the souvenir record. We're going to look at one today on the 78 RPM channel. Hello, and welcome to the 78 RPM channel. Whether you're new to 78s or an advanced collector, this is your source for information, research, and music about 78 RPM records, cylinders, and radio transcriptions. Hey gang, welcome back to the 78 RPM channel. If you were visiting Utah in the middle part of the 20th century, and why wouldn't you be, there were really three main stops that you needed to make. They were Bryce Canyon, Zion Park, and the north rim of the Grand Canyon. Now, the rugged terrain made access by mid-century automobiles iffy, but they took care of that for you. Before becoming part of the National Park Service, these attractions were owned and controlled by the Utah Parks Company. And the Utah Parks Company set up a hub in Cedar City, Utah. And they would take trains and buses and use those to get tourists to those outposts. They would arrive and depart weekly on a loop of those attractions. Now, at each of these attractions, there was a lodge, and that lodge would provide you with a place to stay and what was apparently pretty good food. While the beauty of the parks was paramount, there's something that both tourists and the employees from that era seem to remember very, very fondly. As the tourists finished their stay and they were heading back towards civilization, the employees of the lodge would congregate and serenade the departing tourists in what they called a Singaway. Now, apparently, this was enough of a good memory that a record of the Utah Parks Company Employees Chorus was pressed and sold. Now, I have no idea how many of these were pressed or sold, but I've seen a handful over the years, so they are out there. And this disc contains several of their Singaway songs stitched together, often consisting of well-known tunes with modified lyrics, making them a little bit more pertinent to the situation. Apparently, composing a tune that was performed in the Singaway was considered a badge of honor for park employees. We're going to listen to one side of this disc, and while it begins with one step above bye, it actually is a nice collection of tunes and would really make a genuinely fun way to say goodbye to the tourists.
Bumblebee buzzing around your door, then I'll have all that's come to me, and a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit more. I want to have a big red balloon, and a little bit more. I want to have a lottery, and a little bit more. I want to have a handsome dude, nothing can please me more. Then I'll have all that's come to me, and a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit more. We'll build a bonfire out on the rim, out in the moonlight, sitting on the old finding pine.
At the end of this song, the buses would pull away while all the members of the staff and the chorus would wave goodbye. A couple of other fun notes to conclude. First of all, I mentioned that the Union Pacific Railway was more than willing to provide trains out to these attractions. In addition, the Union Pacific logo is on this disc. So Union Pacific actually was the parent company of the Utah Parks Company. Secondly, there has been a new book about the Utah Parks Company that has been published, and perhaps it gives you a little bit better idea as to how important this aspect of what they did was to the company. The title of the book is Singaway, Working and Playing for the Utah Parks Company, 1923 to 1972, and it was authored by Ryan Paul and Jeanette Siegmiller, both of whom are at Southern Utah University. You can go to zionpark.org for more information if you're interested in that book. As for the disc, it will run you quite a bit less than the book because books are expensive. And secondly, because this disc is not. It's relatively common. As I mentioned, I've managed to junk multiple copies over the years, and that was in the Southeast. If you're closer to Utah, my guess would be that there are a lot more out there. I did see online that someone at some point paid $30 for a copy of this disc, which is fine, but this disc usually sells for less, and by less I mean much less. I've junked multiple copies of the years, and I recently saw one that sold for less than $5. That was an online auction, so if you want one, just be patient. It'll be up eventually, and it'll probably be cheap. Thanks for joining us on the 78 RPM channel. We will see you next time, and here is your Singaway.
No.